Hello, welcome. So the first thing we are going to do is boil our water, get our mac and cheese noodles going. I guess that would be the macaroni noodles. So let's go ahead and boil the water first, get the macaroni noodles cooking, and then we'll come back and go through the rest of the recipes and the game plan of how we're going to make this together. So I'm going to grab my kettle and just go ahead and boil some water. While the water is boiling, you don't want to preheat your oven yet. We're going to get to that eventually. This is the saucepan that worked really well for me. It has a cover so it can boil your water and pour out your noodles and drain it from the saucepan. You can see it's nice and deep. So this works well for boiling the water. Once we drain the mac, we're going to make the sauce in here as well. Mix the mac and then sauce together, throw it in a dish and put it in the oven and then make the crumb topping on top. In the meantime, while our hot water is boiling, we are going to go through the ingredients list. First of all, you are going to need vegan butter. Make sure it's unsalted. So I've got some vegan butter here. You can use regular all-purpose flour or gluten-free. I have this gluten-free here. And you don't need a lot, only 3 tablespoons for the entire recipe, so you don't have to worry about too much about the carbs in there. Now, here's what happens usually. You get everything ready, and then you end up having something that you forgot to get, which in my case, I used coconut milk for this recipe, and I had forgotten to restock my coconut milk. So I have this 1 can left, but I need two. So I luckily I have coconut cream. So I'm just going to use this coconut cream and dilute it with a little bit of nut milk or just water. So this is why we cook alive together. So you can kind of see what you need to do to roll with the punches when things are not exactly to the recipe specs. So it's totally okay. I've got coconut cream, but if you have 2 cans of coconut milk that is unsweetened, that is what you want. So I've got my unsweetened coconut cream that I will dilute. Next is vegetable stock. So I make my own vegetable bouillon, and that this is going to be my vegetable stock. Dijon mustard, good old, oops, upside down, here we go. Good old Dijon mustard. Nutritional yeast flakes. If you followed me on my previous classes, you know I buy a big bag of this, and I just reuse this container for ease of dispensing. Then we need our onion powder, garlic powder, smoked paprika. Oh, I need to restock on that soon. I'm going to make a note of that. Salt and pepper, which we know. So today's macaroni I chose is this one. I haven't tried this one yet. And the reason why I wanted to try it is because it's made in Italy. A lot of folks with gluten sensitivity, like myself, seem to do better with pasta made from Italy. So I'm going to try this one and see if my body likes this one. Otherwise, I did make this recipe before with gluten-free noodles, and it turned out great. So I'm going to give you some tips about how to cook the noodles, but let's go ahead and move over to the oven, and I'll go through the tips and tricks that I learned making this recipe. Here's a tip I learned. Because we will be cooking this in the sauce in the oven for 20 minutes after we mix all the goodness together, well, you want to cook it al dente. So you want to just cook it at the low end. Let's say it says 8 to 10 minutes. Cook it on the 8-minute mark. Here it just says 8 minutes, so I'm going to put a timer and stop the cook process at 7 minutes. So it's al dente, and therefore it's going to continue cooking in the oven and get softer. I've got my hot kettle of water here, and I never follow the recommended pasta water. Let's say they say, oh, put 4 quarts of water to your number of cups of pasta or 8 quarts. I just eyeball it to make sure that whenever I cook the pasta, the water is at least an inch above the top of the pasta when cooking. That's it. No need to make it complicated. I don't measure it out. I just eyeball it, and it's always worked out for me. So now that I know the water has already boiled in my kettle, I'm just going to go ahead and put the pasta in. Save some time. Here we go. I'm going to use this whole bag. And let me grab a spatula. You want to gently stir the pasta in and get it incorporated into the water. It does get a little sticky once you pour it in. I do like to salt the water a little bit, give it a little bit of extra flavor. So I'm going to grab my Himalayan salt. This is optional for you based on your sodium intake. If you can, go ahead and put some salt in it. It's totally optional. This is why I didn't put it in the recipe. So I put about half a tablespoon of sea salt in there. Give it another stir. Put your stovetop on high and let that come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to put that timer on. In the meantime, feel free to grab a drink, get hydrated, do some stretching if you were at home working all day or at the office or just got home from a commute. Give your body a rest, give your mind some fresh breaths, take some deep breaths, and just relax and enjoy this time that we have together in our wellness community to cook together and just to be supporting each other. I have 30 seconds left. I am going to turn the heat down to medium low. Once I drain the mac, I will be reusing the saucepan on that heat to make the roux, the sauce, the mac and cheese sauce, the cheesy sauce. Yay! All right. So let's go ahead and drain our macaroni. For this step, you will need a whisk. Before we start making this roux, we are going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees. Then we are going to take our quarter cup of unsalted vegan butter, melt that. This is a little less than a quarter cup, but it doesn't have to be exact. With 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So here's what we are doing. Let the vegan butter melt first. Put your stove on low heat. Go ahead and melt all that vegan butter. After it's melted, this is when you will add your all-purpose flour. Okay? Now, when you add your all-purpose flour, you want to add it slowly and whisk at the same time. It will continue to bubble as you whisk it. This is what is called making the roux. And this is the secret to this mac and cheese recipe that is so much better, in my opinion, than the other ones I've tried. This is why I'm showcasing this to you guys. Only the best here on my channel. So now the butter's melted. I'm going to go ahead and put my first tablespoon, sprinkle that over. Then I stir. And when you stir, you're going to see it gets a little clumpy. And that's okay. You want to stir until the clumps are gone, just like that. Once it's gone, put in your next tablespoon of flour. Super easy. Just takes a little bit of extra time, but this recipe is so easy. There we go. I purposely didn't do an arm workout today. I did leg workouts because I knew I should have warned you. I knew I was going to do a lot of mixing. I'm just kidding. It's not that hard. But if you want your arm workout and get rid of those triceps and those any undesired extra fat on your arms, this is a good way to do it. Go ahead and stir up. See, I want to get all the flour all incorporated in the butter, just like that. Hopefully you can see that. All right, now that that is all melted, then we are going to pour our cans of coconut milk. Give that a good stir. Let's turn the stove top up to medium heat. From here, we are going to add our vegetable stock. I'm excited to share a couple of excerpts from the books that I recommended on my website. If you haven't had a chance to check out my website, please do so because it has my list services if you want one-on-one health coaching guidance, as well as resources that I rely on and that I highly recommend to have a healthier lifestyle. And my website is www.wellnesslifestyle.me. It's also in the description box of this video as well as my channel. You can see it's starting to thicken up. See how the liquid is starting to be more viscous? All right, it's getting there. We just wanted to get it to a rolling boil before we add the rest of our stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and dump in the rest of our goodness. We have 1.5 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. Oh gosh, let's hope this doesn't splatter on my white shirt. Here we go. 1 tablespoon. Oops, geez. They should invent a bottle that doesn't squirt so much. It gets all over our clothes. Okay. Oh, and here's half. So every time I add something, I do mix it in just to keep the creamy sauce incorporate and it doesn't burn and doesn't get clumpy. Okay. Let's see. Next is our half cup of nutritional yeast. Give that a loving little stir. Next, we are going to add 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder and garlic powder. I'm going to start with the onion powder. It's getting down to the end here. It's getting hard to get it out. 1.5. As well as garlic powder. 1.5 teaspoons of that. Give it another stir. Oh, that by this time you should start smelling the cheesiness in your kitchen. And then 3/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika. Three-quarter teaspoon of salt and black pepper. From here, now I'm going to go ahead and add our macaroni. Just going to gently move the pan around as I fold in the macaroni into this cheesy goodness. Man, I wish you were cooking with me live right now if you're not here, but hopefully you'll be able to follow this at a later time because this is smelling delicious. Look at that. Can you tell me if that looks divine? Look at that. Don't worry about the saucepan. We are going to reuse it. Just set it aside for a moment. And I basically just level it out, or I just give it a shimmy. We're going to set this aside and make our breadcrumb topping. This is super fast. Go ahead and put your saucepan back on, medium heat. I'm going to grab some more butter. You only need a tablespoon of butter for about half a cup of breadcrumbs. So I'm going to take my tablespoon here, reuse it, and just cut out a tablespoon right into the saucepan. Reuse your measuring spoon, no need to wash it. No need to rinse out your saucepan. Just throw that in there, melt it. Put your stovetop back on medium high now that you're attending to it. See, this is why I like having us cook together, because there's so many different little nuances sometimes that comes with experiencing different recipes and cooking many different ways. And when we cook together, we learn from each other. So if you have any tips and tricks, please let me know. All right, it's getting melted. I'm going to get my breadcrumb ready. This is the one I like to use. It's gluten-free panko flakes. Put a half a cup. I love my little crunch topping, so I'm going to do, you know what, why not? I'm going to add maybe half and a quarter. I got feedback from my friends that the crunch topping is their favorite part, as well as the mac and cheese, but it adds really another dimension. So I will go ahead and add that. So you want it to get a little moist, but not soggy. So right now it's pretty moist, but a little dry because I added that extra. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and add a little bit more butter. I will add, let's see, I'm going to add another tablespoon of butter because you want it to be nice and crumbly, not too wet, not too dry. So keep stirring the butter until it evenly coats the breadcrumbs. This is the consistency you want right here. Sprinkle this over and we're going to put it in the oven for 20 minutes. I'm going to put this in the oven for 20 minutes. It's called Journey to the Heart. Don't worry, if you want to know this book and where to get it, go to my website. On my website, wellnesslifestyle.me, there is a tab called Resources. Under that tab, go and find the book section, and this will be linked, as well as my other book that I love is Rituals for Transformation. Journey to the Heart was introduced to me in one of my yoga classes. My instructor, at the end of the yoga session, she would flip open to a page in this book, and every time she read one of the lessons from this book, every time I was just like, whoa, that is such a cool perspective, or that's a really nice reminder. And it really gives me peace to think about the lesson that day and try to implement, or even just share with friends, which is what I'm doing with you. Basically says daily meditations on the path to freeing your soul. Now, don't worry, we're not going to meditate, but in other words, it's just daily lessons for you to think about that will help to free your soul. In other words, releasing stress, making it lighter, making it more free. Today is July 11th, so I opened the page to July 11th, and the lesson for today's meditation is clear the path to your heart. I watched Old Faithful from my window. That's cool because I'm going to go see Old Faithful soon. I'm really excited. I watched Old Faithful from my window. The geyser gurgled and spewed a low layer of steam. Then, true to its name, Old Faithful erupted and sprayed thousands of gallons of steaming water into the air right on time. A full range of gurgling emotions, reactions, and responses to the lifeline, the pathway to the heart. We need to free them all: anger, hurt, sadness, irritations, in order to feel joy. To experience life and all its wonders, we must embrace all these feelings. We need to experience the little angers as well as the big hurts, the painful wounds that life sometimes brings. To insist that we will only feel pleasant emotion means we are blocking the pathway to the heart. We're ignoring all the other gurgling emotions that need to be felt. Our emotions are important, all need to be recognized. The energy of each needs to be acknowledged and released. This clears the way for love. All the emotions that precede love clear the heart so it's pure and feel free, so it's pure and free to feel joy. And then at the end of every lesson, there's like a little poem. It's really cute. Trust your emotions, all of them. You're not off the path. They lead to the path you're seeking. They are the journey to the heart. Let them flow freely. And sure as old faithful, your heart will come gleaming, shining through. That's a pretty sweet lesson there for today. What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you thought about that. When I was reading that, I definitely agree that what I see in a lot of society is only focus on the positive, only focus what feels good, ignore the bad feelings, ignore, I mean, feelings are not to be labeled bad or good. They're just feelings. They're there to give us messages. They're there for us to release whatever we may have been holding in the past, or they're there to direct us to a better path for us. So it's great to feel positive and to have affirmations and to want to feel good and pure joy all the time. But you have to remember that in order to feel that way, you do have to do the work and feel the emotions that are not so pleasant all the time: the hurt, the sadness, the irritation, the angry, and find a healthy way to work it through, whether it's with your close loved ones, whether it's journaling or through creative art. There's so many ways to work through your negative, I'm sorry, not negative, your unpleasant emotions. And thank them. Thank those emotions because they are there for a reason. One of the biggest reasons is to help you grow. So I've done that work myself in many different aspects. If you're curious to know how I've worked through a lot of those unpleasant emotions to grow and to expand and fill my day-to-day life with more joy, I'm more than happy to share them with you. Just let me know. Um, so let me know how you're working through your emotions, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant. Let me know what has worked for you, what hasn't, in the comments below, because I'm sure our community members would love to hear from you as well. Thank you. In case you missed my last cooking class, the format of this book is really neat. It's 108 days, and each day there is a lesson on the one side, and then you take the time to reflect, whether you call it meditation or just quiet time. And then on the other side of the page, you have, forgive me for being so blurry. I don't know how to fix this quite yet. We will figure this out later. But just know that this book is on my website. if you would like to check it out. So on the other side, we have intention for the day, a spot for your morning writing, and a spot to check in the evening with your reflections and gratitude for the day. And they say that if you are consistent with the 108 days of each lesson, you will definitely be transforming your life for the better. And it works. So what I like to have fun with this is I just randomly open to a page and see what it brings us today. Subject matter is it is safe for me to play in this life. There is no reason not to play. Perhaps you find yourself being very serious about life. Guilty. That is me, and I am definitely learning to play more. Who else is guilty of being too serious about life? Raise your hand. It's okay. We can learn from it, and this is a good reminder that there is no reason not to play. You tell yourself there is important work to do. There is danger. People are suffering. Yes, these are part of the world, but denying your basic nature, allowing gratitude and fascination to be overridden by seriousness, won't make you more respectful or effective. You do have important work here. Devoting yourself to it with happiness in your heart and turning it into a conscious play will make you more effective. Your work is part of your play. Not only is it safe for you to play, but the more you give yourself over to it, the closer you will come to living the life chose. Your soul chose. Forgive me, let me read that again. Not only is it safe for you to play, but the more you give yourself over to it, the closer you'll become to living the life your soul chose. You will be freer, more powerful, more at ease, more creative, more intuitive, and more present when you embrace play. To be carefree is authentically you. God doesn't want you to restrict yourself from playing. You chose this play, emerging as the world for the pure delight of it. You can either follow through on that choice or pretend you didn't choose it, that your highest self would want you to feel serious and burdened instead. You did choose it. Remember, to be carefree is authentically you. It fosters healing in yourself and others. It corrects generations of guilt, shame, and self punishment. So choose what you've already chosen. Play. What do you think about that one? That's a pretty deep one. Even though play is such a light subject, I I feel deeply about this because this YouTube channel, right? It is man, it's been a journey trying to get here, and it's been very difficult. Huh? This is live. This is me, and this is a good reminder to have fun with it. And having you here with me today makes it so much more fun. And I thank you for it. Because if it wasn't for you, this wouldn't be play for me. This would just be unpleasant. So take that as an example. Whatever you do in life, your work, chores, have fun with it. Don't take it so seriously. Thank you for hearing me out. And just like my last lesson, Journey to the Heart, this unpleasant emotion, you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm feeling it. And as soon as I acknowledged it and felt it, now it's releasing and I feel better. Look at that. It's magic, isn't it? If you haven't tried it, please do so. This is definitely something I recommend that you try in your life. Don't hide the emotions. If things get difficult, feel it. face the difficult emotions, and you will come out of it learning a lesson and feeling better and growing. And have fun while you're at it. Guess what? Dinner's ready. I'll meet you at the oven. Check it out. Look at that delicious mac and cheese. Yum. We are going to go ahead and cool down that first bite. I just want to give a moment of gratitude to this delicious food that we were able to bring to our table and nourish our body with it. And thank you, each of you, for being with me here today on our live cooking class. I hope you enjoy this recipe and join me for the next class. I do these classes once a month at the moment. If you find that you want to see it more often, like twice a month, let me know. But once a month is the schedule. Hit that notification bell icon to get the notification because I do post the recipe and the class time a week in advance. Bon appetit. Mmm. Mm-mm. That coconut cream didn't do any damage to the recipe. It's so good and so creamy. Well, I'm gonna sign off. Until next time, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be loved. Thank you.